Hello there guys, and welcome to this Explain 11 video. The IXEG 737 recently received minor updates to address flight model changes in Explain 11, as well as some minor fixes and some visual enhancements as well. I thought that this would be a good opportunity to do a full flight aboard one of my favorite aircraft in Explain 11. For our flight today, we're going to be flying Polish Airlines service from Chopin Airport in Poland to Chisinau Airport in Moldova. We're going to be carrying about 11,500 kilos of fuel. We're going to be cruising at 35,000 feet, and we should be arriving into our destination within 1 hour and 35 minutes from departure. The first thing we want to do is we want to set up our fuel for our flight today. So we're going to go to ground services and set our fuel to 11.5 kilos instant, and I'm going to leave everything else the same. Let's go ahead and turn on our battery. Battery is on, emergency lights are armed, and the left after fuel pump is on, and now we can start the APU. The APU is now available. Let's go ahead and set the gears to nav mode. Alright, yaw damper is on. And the APU is supplying the aircraft with power now. Galley power is on. And let's see here. Seatbelt signs on auto. Let's turn on the window heat. And we don't need that now. Recirc fans on auto. Left pack on auto. And the isolation valve is on open. We'll turn off the engine bleeds and turn on the APU bleed. Final altitude today is 35,000 feet, so let's go ahead and set that. 35,000 feet. Position light is on, and we are now ready to program the FMC. We are now ready to program the FMC, and as you can see, this is the latest version of the IXEG, version 1.21. Position initialization, we are at Echo Papa Whiskey Alpha. Next page, let's grab our GPS position, route, and EPWA to Lima, Uniform Kilo Kilo, Chisinau Airport in Moldova. We are locked 2587. And we're going to go to departures. We're going to be departing runway 15 today through the Zimb 6 Delta departure. Now let's go to the, now we're going to go to the routes page. And let's go to the next page. There we go. And let's just quickly look at our flight plan here to look at our route. So immediately after our SID, we're going to take airway Mike 860. Mike 860, and we're going to exit at Irada, and that will take us into our star into Chisinau, and we're going to do, let's see here, the Irada 1 Delta star through the VANIP transition, and we're going to do an ILS runway 08. Okay, so we're going to go to departure and approach. We're going to select approach. That's the Irada 1 Delta star, and that's ILS runway 08, and that's the VANIP transition. And that pretty much concludes our flight plan. Activate and execute. Let's take a quick look at our flight plan just to make sure there are no strange entries in there or discos. Everything looks good. Alright, now it's time for us to set the performance. So let's go to index performance, gross weight. We can get that from our ground services window here. 48.89, 48.8 9. And the reserve, according to our plan, is 2. Cost index is 35. Cruise altitudes is 35,000. Let's check our cruise weather here real quick. Let's see here. About 25708. 25708. And execute. And 1 limit. We're going to derate and takeoff. Flaps 5. Center of gravity is 16.2. And that gives us a trim of 4 units. V1 is 126. V rotate is 128. And 138 for our V2. All right, let's set the trim to 4 units. Right about there. And 138 for V2. Flight director is on. And the altitude will set to 35,000 feet. Okay, we are pretty much ready to go now. The runway, in fact, let's put this on the legs page and that on the climb page. Now, the runway is right over there, so we don't really need the pushback truck. What we're going to do after we start our engines is we're going to go ahead and taxi straight ahead, and then we're going to make a right turn, a left turn, and that should put us at the hold short point runway 15, and we'll be then clear. We'll wait for takeoff clearance, and then we'll depart. Okay, so all is looking good. Let's configure things for our engine start. Fuel pumps are on. Anti-collision light is on, and we're just going to wait actually for the adheres to align. 4 minutes until alignment. So what we're going to do in the meantime, we're going to turn off the packs, and we are now ready for engine start. Let's go ahead and grab the altimeter real quick. And the altimeter 3009 or 1019, and we'll do the same thing on this side here. There we go, all is set, and we are just now waiting for the adheres to align, and then we're going to go ahead and start the engines. The alignment is now complete, and we are now ready for engine start. So let me switch this to map. There we go, and we're going to set the range to about 40 nautical miles. And all is looking good. All right, let's go ahead and fire up engine number 2 first. Engine number 2 is now spooling, and we're going to wait for about 20% N2. There we go, and we're going to give it some fuel. The visibility isn't that great for our flight today, especially here in Poland. Okay, and we have a good start on the engine number 2. Let's go ahead and start the engine number 1. And again, we're going to wait for about 20% of N2 to start engine number 1. That's good enough. Engine number 1. Alright, looks like we have a good start on both engines, and we're going to set the Engine start, ignition switches to continuous. And let's see here. Generators are both on. And everything else is fine here. So we're going to turn on the pitot heat. And left pack on auto. Isolation valve on auto. Right pack is on auto. We'll turn on the engine bleeds and turn off the APU bleed. And now we can turn off the APU. Let's go ahead and turn on the logo light. And we're going to turn on the runway and taxi light as well. Alright, let's go ahead and set our flaps for takeoff, flaps 5. And the auto brake to rejected takeoff. And everything else is looking pretty good now. Okay, we are now ready to taxi to the runway. Parking brake released. And we're coming up to the hold short point for runway 15. And we're going to make our final stop here at the hold short point for runway 15.
3503 taxi holding point Alpha 4. Standby tower, runway clear.
Alright, so we're going to turn on the landing lights. We're going to turn off the runway turn off lights and taxi lights. And we're going to turn on our strobes. We'll arm the auto throttle switch. And everything is now ready for takeoff. Takeoff clearance is received. Parking brake is released. And let's go ahead and take off. Okay, let's get lined up here with the runway.
On runway 15.
Alright, and now we are ready for takeoff. And toga.
Dover 32 X-ray, wind 120 degrees, 1 knot, runway 106 land.
Good land, runway 106 land.
V1 and rotate. Positive rate of climb. Gear is going up. And we're going to maintain about 10-degree pitch. Begin retracting the flaps. Right, and V nav, L nav. And we'll engage the autopilot. And we continue our climb now to 35,000 feet. All's looking good. Right, we can turn now the engine start ignitions to off. And rejected takeoff is no longer needed, so auto brake to off. Alright, so we've reached 8,000 feet. We're going to go ahead and set the altimeter to standard 29902 or 1013. And we'll do the same thing over here as well. 29902. There we go. Alright, so everything is looking good. We are approaching 10,000 feet. And what we're going to do now is we're going to turn off our landing lights. Landing lights are off. And everything is looking pretty good now. We're going to climb to about 285 knots. And as soon as we reach that speed, the aircraft will begin pitching up again to climb to 35,000 feet. Alright folks, we are now climbing to 35,000 feet, which is our final cruising altitude for our flight today. I will let you guys enjoy the flight, and I will check back with you as soon as we level off.
Backtrack line at Boeing runway 34.
Welcome back, guys. We are at 35,000 feet, which is our final cruising altitude for our flight today, and we are approximately 183 nautical miles from our top of descent. There are a couple of questions that have been asked during the last video, and I'd like to address them here. One was regarding the ortho4xp versus the HD mesh scenery. Which one is better? Which one do I prefer? And now, those are both base meshes, and hence they cannot be used together. You can use one or the other, but not both of them together. And with that said, though, you can use the HD mesh scenery to create some very accurate overlays for ortho4xp tiles. I'm going to save the details of all of that to the next episode of the guide to Amazing X-Plane 11 scenery. The other question that you guys have been asking me is when will the next giveaway be, and the answer to that is that it is already in the making. I'm working with a very famous YouTuber and flight simmer on the next giveaway, so stay tuned for that. Back to our flight, everything is looking okay. We're cruising at our cruise altitude of 350, all's looking good, so I'm going to let you guys enjoy the flight, and we'll check back with you about 30 nautical miles from top of descent. Enjoy the flight. See you real soon. Welcome back, folks. We are about 35 nautical miles from our top of descent point, so we're going to start configuring the aircraft for our approach now. I'm going to go to approach reference here, and we're going to set our flaps for landing. We're going to do flaps 30 and 136 knots for our approach, 30 and 136. That's set. The ILS frequency is 110.3 and the course is 082 degrees. 110.3. 110.3 is set on this side and on this side as well. 110.3. Course is 082 degrees. And we'll do the same thing on the other side as well. There we go. Now, let's take a look here at our flight plan. We have a restriction at 4,000 feet. We need to be at Danip. We need to be above 4,000. And the platform altitude for our flight today is 2,500 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and reset the MCP altitude to 2,500 feet, which is our platform altitude. I think we should be okay to clear that restriction at 4,000 feet. 2,500. There we go. And at the top of descent point in about 23 nautical miles, the aircraft should begin the automatic descent to 2,500 feet. And we have now reached our top of descent point, and as you can see, the aircraft has begun the automatic descent to 2,500 feet. We continue our descent to our platform altitude of 2,500 feet, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend the speed brake so that we can reduce our speed to 240 knots. And that's the FMC selected speed, as you can see here. This is drag required. We are now approaching 10,000 feet, and we are going to now turn on our landing lights. Runway turn-off lights are also on. Alright, and at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the vertical speed to 1,700 feet per minute. And we are looking okay for our approach. What I'm going to do now is reduce our speed to 120 knots. 220. And we'll extend the speed brakes to help us reduce our speed. Right, let's go ahead and grab our altimeter real quick.
Delta, India, X-ray, Echo, Golf, Lima, Uniform, Kilo, Kilo, altimeter 2979er.
2979er.
Lima, uniform, kilo, kilo, altimeter 2979er, Delta, India, X-ray, Echo, Golf.
Okay, the altimeter is now set, and we're looking good now. What we're going to do is we're going to reduce our speed now to 180 knots. And we're going to set the auto brake to 2. We're going to arm the speed brake. And we're pretty much now ready for our approach. Let's go ahead and reduce our rate of descent now to 1,000 feet per minute. And we're going to also engage the approach button. We're a bit too fast. So let's extend the speed brake here. Right, we can go to flaps 1. Right, speed brakes are now armed again. And we continue to reduce our speed. And flaps 5. That's the runway ahead of us. Autopilot B is engaged. Again, our approach speed is 136 knots. And we are now at our platform altitude, almost. At this point, the engine ignition switches are back to continuous. And that's the runway ahead of us, and the needle now started moving down. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and select gear down. Flaps 15. Speed 150 knots. Glide slope is active. And let's go ahead and reduce the speed to 145 knots. Flaps 25. And 136 knots. Flaps 30. Alright, and at this point I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopilot.
Approaching 08.
And let's go ahead and disengage the auto throttle as well.
Flight 300. Flight slope. Flight slope. Flight slope. Flight slope. Flight slope. Flight slope. Minimum. Flight slope. Flight slope. Flight 100. Flight slope. Flight slope. Flight slope. Flight slope. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Gross thrust. Manual braking. And welcome to Moldova. Let's make a stop here and take a look at our landing. I didn't quite follow the glide slope properly during our approach. The landing itself was okay, I think. And this scenery, by the way, is that of Jureski design, a beautiful rendition of the airport. I think it's one of the really beautiful scenery packages created for X-Plane 11. Highly recommended again. If you like flying in Eastern Europe, I think you will really enjoy flying in and out of Chisinau Airport in Moldova. Well folks, this brings us to the conclusion of our video today. I hope that you have enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.